Welcome back to another episode of Whiskey and Water.
We are back at it again with another episode.
Very special, very near and dear to our hearts.
Very near and dear to our hearts. Our good friend TDrew is joining us, Thomas. He is an amazing friend to us, someone we have looked up to. T-Daddy for years. Definitely a mentor to us. And this is such a value-packed episode. If you're not driving, pull out a pen and paper, take notes, because it's one of those.
There are so many good takeaways here, and just so much that's actionable that you can literally just start implementing now.
And a lot of insight and advice that I really just haven't heard before, which I love, because that makes me feel so good, like knowing that we're providing that value to you. Like, if we haven't heard it before, I don't think you guys have, so you are absolutely going to eat up this episode. But before we get into that, we would like to say thank you to our show sponsor, Celsius. We actually purchased these today.
Yes, we did.
We ran out because we're fiends. And
because we drink 2 cans a day.
You know what? It's fine. Everything's fine. But we did go for the peach vibe, which is their limited edition flavor that they extended.
Yes. And we did pick this up at our local Berries boot camp.
Shout out Berries. Tell them the funny story.
So this morning I'm like, damn, we need some Celsi, right? And I'm like, I know that they have them at the Berries down, a couple blocks away. And I go in there all the time just getting Celsius,
just to
right?
buy Celsius.
And so I go in there like looking homeless as hell. There's a class about to start.
She has like literally sweatpants, sweatshirt, hat, all black on.
I go in there. There's like a line of all these, fit ass people waiting to get their workout on.
Fit Miami people.
And I like go up to the table. I'm like, 2 Celsius. He's like, what? And I'm like, give me 2 fucking Celsius. Like, I gotta get out of here. I'm like hat down. I'm like, I'm not fucking working out.
They're looking at you like, interesting choice in workout apparel.
Yes.
But
I'm like, me and my Converse. They're like, is this bitch about to run a Berries? And
no. We're just here strictly for Celsius. We love it. Healthy energy, accelerates metabolism, and burns body fat.
Who just met? Oh, Kennedy, our assistant, had texted us in our group chat the other day, and she's like, how did I not know that this was like
fire? Dumb fire.
She was like, she's like, I have done so much today. And I'm like, do you not listen to this podcast? Like,
girl,
we're not bullshitting you guys.
We've been putting you on.
This is it.
This is it. Link in description. Y'all already know the deal. All right, let's get into our weekly challenge.
And before we do that, let's give a thank you to our other sponsor, Women's Realm.
How could I forget?
How could you forget? Women's Realm is a resource for women, anyone that's looking to purchase gifts for women. It could be, your man, it could be your uncle, it could be whoever. This is a resource for everyone to find products that have been sifted through. You guys get special discounts, you get reviews, you get product guides, all that good stuff, so that you don't have to sift through all of the millions of products made for women, and you can just get the good ones.
Yeah, and it's nice to have like a reliable, trusted source that already has the good reviews, is run through multiple filters to make sure they are legitimate products, because there really is so much product out there for women these days, and low-key it can be really overwhelming sometimes when you're looking at a bunch of different things and you just don't know who to trust. So Women's Realm is your resource for finding all of those things, trusted, good reviews, and you love to see it. We will have the link in our description for that one as well.
Yes, and we also wanted to mention that we are locking in our sponsors for Q2, so if you or someone would like to have a sponsorship on the Whiskey and Water, you guys know where to find us.
Holla at us at whiskeyandwaterpodcast.com.
And, that applies to guests and topics as well. We want to hear from you guys. We want to know what you guys are interested in hearing, who you want us to have on, if it's within our reach.
Yes, of course. I don't know about any A-list celebrities, but hey, shoot your shot.
B-list for sure.
Shoot your shot. You miss all the shots that you don't take, right?
Holla at whiskeyandwaterpodcast.com.
Yeah, and I know we have some new listeners, so you guys make sure you're also listening to previous episodes. This is our 66th episode, I believe. So we've talked about a lot of stuff. Prior to being business oriented, we did a lot of personal development, mental health, spirituality. So if any of that resonates with you, definitely go check out some of our earlier episodes as well.
Yes, we have had incredible guests on who, we've just talked about everything under the sun.
So many good things.
And more to come.
Yes.
Weekly challenge.
Let's hop right into it, not waste any time. This week, we are doing something that actually Jess has been working on herself, something that I definitely need to implement in my life, specifically towards laundry, because that is just my problem area right now.
I mean, have you seen my room?
Anyways.
I have a lot of problem areas.
Okay, so the weekly challenge for this week, guys, we want you to go push yourself out of your boundaries, Monday through Friday or Monday through Sunday, take this challenge and try to take 5 minutes a day. Set a timer on your phone. It'll go off after 5 minutes, 5 minutes every day.
You're going to spend tidying up your space.
Go through your space, your living room, your kitchen, the dishes, your laundry, whatever it is.
Things that are on your coffee table that need to be put in the bathroom. I'm looking at myself right now. Go do it. Do the little things that have been sitting out that you need to put away.
Yeah, and I think really 5 minutes a day is all you kind of need just to tidy up the space,
Yes.
Go to sleep knowing the next morning everything is in its place and it doesn't accumulate that way. Because my thing with the laundry is just so bad.
Oh, I have an entire I have a laundry chair in my room right now.
And realistically, it would only take me 5 minutes to just sort through it very quickly, but instead it ends up taking me an hour or two on a Sunday when I'm like just dreading my entire existence.
Yep.
So we will be doing
That's our weekly challenge.
We will be doing this challenge with you guys because we will benefit from it too.
And if you guys have enjoyed this episode thus far, please take a screenshot, tag us, tag our guest, TDrew. You guys are going to love this episode and we're going to hop right into it.
Yeah. See you on the other side.
Bye, brothers. All right. And we are on with the one, the only Thomas Drew.
Team motherfucking Drew in the house.
How are you?
I'm good now.
I mean, listen, the intro of the century.
Honestly, we're just going to gas you up this entire episode. So to get used to it now.
Yeah. So to give you guys, a little bit of background about yourself, tell them who you are, tell them what you do.
I'm a tall black guy.
Don't forget handsome. Tall, handsome,
tall, dark,
black
and
man.
handsome, baby.
I'm some days. No. I'm an entrepreneur. I think I've been knowing that I was going to do this for a young age. So it's not really something that I just stumbled upon. I think that's who I am. Currently, what I'm focused on right now, I'm co-founder of a company called One in One Life with this awesome individual, Corey Big C Lewis. Thank you, Jeff, for the promo. I appreciate that.
I'm wearing my One in One merch right now.
You already know.
Yeah. One in One is a wellness platform. We do a lot of stuff. I'm really, really excited about the direction that we're going. We just released a new website. We're kind of rebranding ourselves as like a mental health performance company. So we do tons of wellness content and wellness product stuff, but it all starts from the inside out. Because, we really believe that in order to do what you need to do physically, you can't do that without being right mentally. Also, I'm a partner at a startup. I'm an advisor for a social media startup, and I'm also the founding partner at a marketing agency. And I actually started that small marketing agency in 2017 as soon as I graduated grad school. Didn't know I was going to pay my rent the next month, and I had to figure something out. So that's kind of how that came to be. And all those are kind of active, but the One in One Life is my baby. That's the main focus, and it's kind of what I'm focused on as an entrepreneur.
Yes, love it. Just to give people kind of a background, where did you go to school and what did you study?
I did my undergrad at a couple of schools. So I used to play college basketball. I did my undergrad at Ferris State for 2 years. Then I left, transferred to Davenport University. In between then, I actually did a year at junior college. You're already getting stuff that people don't really know about me. So I went from undergrad at Ferris State for 2 years. Didn't like the situation, didn't really like my coach. Went to junior college for a year to play college basketball, get re-recruited. Got my associate's degree in sports medicine there, which I never used. Then I went to Davenport, got my BBA, Bachelor's in Business Administration with a marketing concentration. Then immediately when I was done with undergrad, I went out to New York to get my master's in strategic communication from Columbia University in New York. So I finished that in 2017.
A scholar.
A scholar and a gentleman.
You love to see it.
So, of course, since we know you so well, we know that like your entrepreneurial spirit is kind of just a part of who you are. And I think that you have this really cool story from when you were younger. And I think you know which one I'm talking about. And I'd love it if you shared it.
Yeah. So, it's pretty crazy. So when I was 8 years old, I was in grade school. There was like a grade school assignment, and the assignment was we all had to write an autobiography about ourselves in a book. I don't really remember what a lot of the other kids were writing, but I assume it was like regular kid stuff. Like,
I want to be an astronaut.
Astronaut.
Yeah, like I want to be Spider-Man. I don't know. Yeah. Which I did actually want to be Spider-Man growing up. But so I wrote in this little book, and I wish I had it here with me, but my mom won't let me bring it with me to New York because it's one of her like keepsake
prize possessions.
Right. So I wrote in the book, I wrote like all this random kid stuff, and it was crazy because I did this like switch, and I was like, okay, when I grow up, I want to be an entrepreneur and own 7 businesses. And it was really funny because the funniest part about it was that I spelled the word entrepreneur right, which, for all intents and purposes, isn't really the easiest word to spell.
I still struggle.
I still can't spell it right.
And I put the wrong tense of the word business. So I said, I want to be an entrepreneur and own 7 business. Obviously, I should have said businesses. And then after that sentence, I was like, my hobbies are basketball, reading, and skateboarding. And, pretty crazy because, I went on to play college basketball. I love the game, yada, yada, yada. The skateboarding part was a huge part of my life up until I was probably like 15 or 16. Another thing that people don't really know about me.
Oh, word? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
He a skater boy. He said, see you later, boy.
Yeah, I was obsessed with like Lupe Fiasco, like
oh yes.
I was like this freaking tall, lanky kid trying to do a kickflip, and then reading. Like I'll always love reading. Like I'm a nerd. I'll always be a nerd. So then the sentence after that was like, I love New York City and I love Disney World, and I was like, I really love my life, and that's like how I ended my paragraph. And so to think about now that I've been in New York since 2015 and I'm an entrepreneur, I don't own 7 businesses, but I'm damn close.
Yet.
Like it's
period.
It's pretty crazy, man. And to be honest, like whenever I go through trying times and whenever I doubt myself, because I have, I think back to me writing that as a kid. Because, and this is the reason why I do it, because when you're a kid, you don't understand what life really is. You don't have constraints. You don't have like people putting you in a box. You don't have people not believing in you. You don't like hit obstacles that you have to go through.
Right.
So when I was a kid, being able to think about that as a kid, it was like, this is what I was thinking of when I had no limits. So
right.
Must really be who I am. So I always like think about that.
Yeah. And what you're destined to do. Because I think for a lot of people, their story is, I worked the 9 to 5. It wasn't for me. I wanted my freedom. I wanted to be my own boss. So it's interesting for you that, you were born and at a very young age, you were like, yeah, I know what I want to do. And like, you never kind of pivoted from that. So I think that's dope. That's the closest thing to like destiny in a way,
Yeah. Like I had a job in New York. So the story really is, in 2017, when I finished grad school, I got offered final round interviews for a job with a really good company out in California. It was like $80,000 salary to start, blah, 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 2-year commitment. And I was just like, no. And like my gut, like I was just like, no. Like something told me, whatever it was, like my spirit, my intuition, my guardian angel, whatever it is, just told me no. Like, don't do that. You need to be in New York. And I felt really incensed in that moment. But then I tell people this all the time. I don't think I've ever had like a panic attack. But when I said no to that job, and then I realized that my rent was $1,750 the next month, and I only had like $1,200 in my bank account, and I didn't have any income streams, so I was living off student loans, I was like, oh, wow. And
well, nice reality check for you.
You're like, the audacity of myself.
Yeah. And I used to, my old apartment was literally next door to a bar. And the bartender, bless her heart, she doesn't bartend there anymore, but I went over there and dog, I had like 5 or 6 Jack and Cokes back to back to back to back. And I was like, I got to calm myself down because wow. And then from that week forward, I was emailing LinkedIn. Literally, I found people that I felt were doing something that I wanted to do. I worked the Columbia Network. I did all those things. And the only person that emailed me back and took a meeting with me was the first job I had in New York City for a whole year. I led a division at a marketing agency. And the year on the dot that I started there, I quit to focus full time on my thing.
Nice. Okay. So you did have a job for a year before going into full on, diving full into the entrepreneurship.
Yeah. And
nice.
This is what I think is important for people to understand. It's a couple of things. I wanted to work that job to get a taste and to prove my own abilities.
Right.
I was able to go into that job. In my first experience, my boss was like, hey, I just signed a $3-4 million Samsung deal as a client. They're going to be your client. You cool with that? I'm like, yeah. So it's either sink or swim. Either you got it or you don't. And I was like, I'll be damn sure if I don't. So, that was like one of those moments. And as an entrepreneur, just as a person in general, you always figure it out when you look back at it. But one of my favorite quotes is don't miss your moment. Because when you get moments and you miss them, a lot of those moments can really change the course of your life. And that was one of those moments where I was like, okay, this is a big opportunity. If I do well on this brand, it's a big brand. That's am I really good at this digital marketing strategy, whatever I want to do? And that was invaluable experience for me because I was thrust in the fire. So to anyone listening to this, there's nothing wrong with having a job and getting experience with that job, but be upfront with whoever your superior is. Because I told him, I was like, dude, I'm an entrepreneur. I have my own business. Me and my business partner started a business, and I want to do good work for you, but I also want to learn what I can, give to my own business. And I just want to let you know that, to be honest, I'm not going to stay here. He was like, cool, great.
I love that. Just being super transparent, out the gate, and letting them know your intentions.
Because it also allows you to keep your vision clear, because at least you're not hiding that from someone. You're being super transparent and you're, communicating what your path is going to be, and therefore, kind of paving it for yourself as well.
Yeah. And I think going into a position like that, knowing that it's a stepping stone, is a good place to be mentally. Just to see your future clearly, because I think it's easy once you get into something secure and safe and you get used to the steady income and the benefits. I think you can easily be persuaded to kind of just stay where it's comfortable, So I love that you kind of went in there knowing your intentions, let the people higher up, let them know of your intentions too, and so that they were aligned as well,
Yeah, I mean, dude, self-awareness is so important. You can't being an entrepreneur. All right, here we go.
There's a lot to unpack here.
being an entrepreneur is wild. And when I say that, I'm saying being an actual entrepreneur and really going through the fire and making a ridiculous amount of mistakes and having tons of failures. Any real entrepreneur that's really done it, it doesn't matter how successful they are, I guarantee you they had way more failures than they had successes. And to be able to do that, it takes a certain individual. You have to have an insane amount of risk tolerance, ridiculous amount of risk tolerance. The amount of times that I have personally been yo, this is wild. I have to really take a step back and really assess the situation here, because nothing is going right. And when I say nothing, I'm talking about like, I can't pay my people. This idea is not working. I have to report to higher ups about why this isn't working. I'm running out of money. Like, these are the things that go on. And so it is perfectly fine to not be an entrepreneur. Like, because
it's not for everyone.
Not everyone's built for it.
Yeah, and it's incredible. Like, it's like I love seeing, like, we live in this age where, like, I think the statistic, I saw some statistic where it was like the Bureau of like some US like census, whatever, that like records the amount of new businesses that have been open went up like 70% over the past like year and a half, something like that. Wow. That's phenomenal. And we're living in this age where in social media, in this age of information, you know, it's like an entrepreneurial renaissance, which is a beautiful thing. Mm-hmm. But you have to understand, like, it doesn't matter how good your idea is, how smart you are, how much money you have, how good your team is. It never goes as smooth as you think it is. And the real key to being an entrepreneur over everything else is just simple perseverance. Like, you can be a genius, and like think about all the geniuses in the world that have had amazing ideas, but because of lack of perseverance, we don't even know that those things exist. It's a tremendous amount.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And in order to have blind perseverance, you kind of have to be half crazy.
You have to be different. Yeah. The mindset is so much more important than the idea, than the hustle. Like, the mindset is what gets you through all of it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And also just, you know, so many people have self-limiting beliefs because of, you know, society, or because of family, or because of trauma, like things that have happened in their past that limits their genius, you know. Mm-hmm. And I also, you know, I would love to talk about just how entrepreneurship has been romanticized, specifically in the past, you know, like year. You know, we all saw, you know, memes at the end of not memes, but, you know, quotes at the end of 2020, and it was like, if you didn't start a business in 2020, then you don't know hustle, or, you know, just stupid. We hate shit like that, you know, and I, you know, I feel like
the reality.
It's just not reality. And I feel like you can talk, you know, really well on how bad romanticizing entrepreneurship can be.
Oh, well, the reason why it's bad is because you have a whole bunch of people that, because of the romanticization of it and because of social media, they hop into entrepreneurial things and they just think it's going to work out.
Like, they think things are just going to like fall into place or align for them. And, you know, while I do feel like if you are in the right mindset and you are the right person to be, you know, going down this path, then absolutely, right, you know, the universe will deliver. But that doesn't just look like rainbows and fucking flowers. Like, that can look like, you know, hitting rock bottom. Mm-hmm. Like, things are going to align for you for whatever you need, not whatever you want.
People see the tip of the iceberg, but they don't see the mountain underneath the water.
Right, and that's because of social media. Like, I mean, there's so many stories I could share with you. I'll share with you a couple. Obviously, Robinhood's like in the news.
Oh, mm-hmm. Yes, let's talk about it.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I told you guys this before. I don't know if I did or not, but it's neither here nor there. Like, Robinhood has changed the way that people think about investing, especially retail investing. Extremely disruptive company, changed the world, right? Robinhood had, I think it was like over 90. It was probably 95 or 96, something along those, pitch meetings for their business before they got funding.
Wow.
90, like, but this is what I'm saying.
Gives me chills.
Think about that. The regular person is stopping probably after like the second meeting.
3, yeah.
5 maybe, yeah.
And the really like inspired person.
I'd stop after 5. I'm like, obviously this is a shit fucking idea.
is probably going to give up after 5 or 6. 90?
Yeah, wild.
And now they literally fucking run the world right now.
Yeah, another one. If anybody is really, one of the things I like doing, as an entrepreneur, I mean, and if you really get into that mode and that's something that you really want to do, you're going to have to continue to find ways to inspire yourself. And one of my favorite things to do is watch and learn stories of other entrepreneurs and try to find patterns. So another story that's crazy is Sam Koch at McDonald's. He was in his mid 50s. So like the McDonald's brothers founded the first McDonald's.
Mm-hmm.
But Sam Koch was in his mid 50s and was like doing these like odd sales jobs, whatever. Like his wife like didn't really believe in him, like blah 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 blah. But he kept going, he kept going, he kept going. Napoleon Hill was his thing, like think, see, do, you have to believe, blah blah blah. And in his mid 50s, he saw what the McDonald's brothers had and took his marketing mind, his ability to turn that into a business and a brand, and grew it into McDonald's in his mid 50s. You know how hard it is to not give up on like your big thing and you're in your 50s.
Right.
His whole thing was, and this is something else that is really important just for entrepreneurs. It's like, you only got to be right once.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Yeah. That's what they say a lot about real estate investing too. All the podcasts I listen to, when they're talking about calling banks and asking for mortgages and loans, people call like 50 banks, hundreds of banks, and they're like, you don't know. The next call could be the one, especially when it comes to like lending and certain deals that people will work out for you and banks that will work with you versus banks that won't because of certain criteria and things like that.
I mean, I feel like even the same can be said for us as influencers and our brand outreach. We do hundreds of emails weekly. All we need is one or two that are responding, and they're gonna give us our rate, and that's fucking putting food on our tables for the month.
Yeah,
like, that's really all we need.
Yeah, let's talk about rejection a little and kind of just like dive into that whole thing. I've always felt like I was raised in doing modeling. So I'm like, from 9 years old, I learned how to take no and not take it personally. But I think for a lot of people, that's kind of the hardest thing.
I'm just thinking, I'm like, I mean, my dad rejected me half my life. I know all about rejection.
Jesus Christ. No, but a lot of podcasts I listen to will say like, get yourself comfortable with rejection. Like almost desensitize yourself to it. Ask people questions that you already know the answer is no to, just to get yourself, in that mindset of being totally okay and almost welcoming rejection.
And being unwavering in your own self-confidence in spite of that rejection.
Yeah, no, you have to. And that's why, it's the whole no thing. That's why independent thinking is so important. Like one of my mentors was just like, man, independent thinking will take you so far, because if you have a vision and that vision is clear and that vision encapsulates why you're doing something and what you're trying to bring into the world, what you see, only you can see that. Like Will Smith talks about it the best. Like I love Will Smith. He's my favorite actor. And he's like, your vision is your vision. The way that you see things, the way that you want to bring things to fruition is your thing. And when you go out here and you look for help and you do this and that, if people say no, it's because they can't see your vision, but it's your vision for a reason. Now, if you find people that can see your vision, that's what it is. Like, it's not about when you pitch a whole bunch of people, back to the Robin thing. When you pitch a whole bunch of people, it's not about who says no. It's not about trying to persuade the people that say no. It's about finding the person that understands enough to say yes. Mm-hmm. That's what it's about. And that's why, like, the whole no thing, like, no's are just like a pivot. It's like, okay, like, I'm going to refine this. I'm going to do this, and that. But I haven't found the right person to get on my ship. But in order to do that, you have to have the clear vision, and you have to have a reason and a why that other people can grab onto that will continue to drive what you're doing.
I love that you said that too, because I feel like that's, it can apply to any aspect, like if you hear a no, you don't want to have to convince that person otherwise, because if they're not on that wavelength, if they aren't like where you're at mentally, then it's unlikely that they're ever going to be. And then a number of issues can arise, like they didn't believe in you from the start, their head wasn't in it, their heart wasn't in it. And so, you really only want people that are on your wavelength and that are fucking with you from, the start, because that's how, you're going to set yourself up for success. Yeah.
Like Gary Vee said it before. He was like, one of my biggest mistakes is not investing in Uber. He was like, they came to me and like wanted investment. I just didn't see it. I just said no. Did it stop them? No, it's Uber now.
Yeah,
right. He's like shooting himself in the foot. He's like, damn. So like if they would have taken that no and been like, oh, like Gary Vee doesn't believe in us, like, man, like we might not have freaking Uber.
Yeah,
exactly. And I mean, Uber's
everything
completely changed.
Now this is also, it's also very important to understand realism, right? And product market fit. So a bad idea is a bad idea, but
correct.
I have seen bad ideas be brought to fruition with good marketing, good teams, blah, blah, blah. Like what's really important is if you're an entrepreneur and you're doing something, finding product market fit. Because when you find product market fit, which means if you have an MVP, like a minimum viable product, you have like, an idea or for a platform or whatever it is, and you get 50 to 100 people that really, really like it, then that will drive you through the nose, because it's way better to have 50 or 100 people that love something than to have like a few thousand people that kind of like it. So if you have 100 people that really love something that you do, you can be like, look, I really know that I have something because I really feel like I have some good product market fit, and I just have to continue to tool it, make it better. But I got 100 people that love this and want more of it and feel like they can't live without it. But if you have an idea and you show it to some people or some friends or some smart, and nobody's messing with it, you got to go back to the drawing board, big dog. Cause it's like,
no, that's so good, because also I wanted to kind of dive into like the importance of being willing to pivot and adapt. Like we had mentioned before we started our recording, TDrew was the one, we had hopped on a call with him and talked for like an hour the same day that we decided to totally rebrand the podcast and take it into a more female entrepreneurship / women in business direction. And it's like the best thing that we could have ever done for the show. So like that's the example for the show, but in so many other aspects of business, especially entrepreneurship, being ready to adapt like that whenever, and just like having the foresight almost to see like, okay, something's not working here, and it's okay to change it. Like I think even when we were deciding, there was like this feeling of kind of failure almost, like, damn, well, like this isn't working, we're gonna have to change something. And then we were like, wait, no, this is dope. Why don't we embrace this and say like, yeah, we're rebranding, and we'll probably rebrand again in like another year or so, depending on where we are at that point in our lives. But just being willing to like really embrace that change and go for it, and not really see it as a bad thing. I think that's so important.
Adaptability is extremely important, especially living in an age where we're so fast and people's attention spans are so low.
Totally.
You have to adapt. Like we've done tons of adaptation with one-on-one life. Like, for example, as you guys know, we started as just an apparel company. We just wanted to do men's and women's apparel. We wanted to have influencers. We wanted to get a whole bunch of attention, blah, blah, this and that.
And that's how we met.
Yeah, hey, you got something out of it.
Yeah, and then we had some meetings, and we were doing this and that, and we saw an opportunity to do something
more
bigger,
platform based, that was bigger. Right. And because we did that, it was excruciatingly painful to make that pivot.
Yeah.
But for example, I can't talk about it right now because I signed an NDA, but I'm really excited about a couple of partnerships that we're getting ready to do with some companies based on our content, based on our storytelling, based on that engine. We still have our product, obviously, with, you know, supplements and that type of things, but we put so much time, energy, and effort into our editorial and content engine to the point where now we have, you know, over 500 original articles and editorial pieces for wellness on our site. We really had to have a moment, be like, yo, like, oh my God, we need, like, in order to do this and to go towards this vision that can be bigger, we need to pivot. And pivoting is good, because if you pivot with an audience-based approach, you can never lose. If you pivot with an internal brand approach, sometimes it goes right, sometimes it goes wrong. But if you pivot with an audience-based approach, you never lose. And when I say audience-based approach, I mean doing real research and a real deep dive on the audience that you've identified to be your target, with demographics and psychographics. Demographics meaning obviously age, gender, location, things of that nature. Psychographic meaning interests, like what do they like, what do they dislike, what do they care about. Finding out from that audience what the pain points are, what they really need, what is really valuable to them, and then shifting your business model to that, you will never lose. Because so many companies nowadays are like, what up, y'all? We're a charcoal toothpaste, chocolate flavored like item, and we're doing this, this, and this. But it's like, okay, like that's dope, but like,
what audience is seeking that product?
Yeah, it's like, did you ever like, did you ask and like try to, did you do like some flavor matching? Did you see if like people would like chocolate mint charcoal toothpaste?
Right.
That's kind of abrasive. You know what I mean? Like that's like, cause people want to just get stuff out. They just want to like throw shit at the wall and like see what stick and like blah, blah, blah. And it's like, people have forgotten to lead with an audience-based approach.
I love it. Yeah, that's so good.
You know, the more quick, I mean, you guys do a great job of it. Actually, I'll put you guys on the spot with your podcast. You guys do a great job. You're always like, what do you guys want to see more from us?
Totally.
What do you like about what we're doing? We're taking this pivot. What do you guys like? And, you know, this is like, if you guys like want to talk about marketing, like I'll give you a story about marketing that hopefully is a good takeaway that will stick with people from my 3 years of grad school in marketing. I can boil marketing down to one thing, and I call it the big Mario, little Mario theory. So think about like playing Mario Kart. I know like we've all probably played Mario Kart, right? When you're like little Mario, like you're driving around and like you get that like little sunflower thing and it hits you, and then you turn into big Mario and you're like rainbow and you're like So
what was it like again? Run that back.
Yeah, right. So
Precisely.
Think about it this way. So little Mario is the consumer and the flower thing is the product. And big Mario is what the consumer wants to be. Like nobody doesn't want to level up or feel better or feel more accomplished, right? So all marketing is telling the story and having the consumer understand why your product or service or thing turns them from little Mario into big Mario. And that's it.
I love
like,
that.
That's all it is. And because at the end of the day, like, and these are things that I've just learned from trial and error, listening to stuff, trying stuff out. And a lot of these things, like, I still have to do a better job at with the stuff that I like oversee. But it's good to just continue to say these things because it makes me remember what I'm supposed to be doing. The consumer does not care about anything else other than themselves. So it's like, you can talk about like, oh, like we have this and this and our product did this and we did this and this and like blah, blah, blah. All the consumer cares about, especially in 2021, is what something can do for them, how it makes them feel. So with your story, with your marketing, with whatever, if you can outwardly express that, then with an audience-based approach, then whatever pivot you do, like, you'll win.
Yeah, that's so good. And I think even understanding like who you are as a consumer and how you react to things and what influences you to purchase items versus, purchase one thing versus something else. I think even studying yourself and your own consumer habits is really helpful too when you're about to sell something.
Yeah, I mean, we have designer brands for a reason.
Yeah.
People want to buy into something that makes them feel better about who they are, who they appear to be to others, and like something that makes them feel better, at the end of the day.
There you go.
Exactly. So it's like, without that sort of complex, designer brands wouldn't even exist. So,
and there's this TikTok that I saw the other day about marketing.
There's a TikTok for everything.
Yeah, of course. About packaging and like, use these 5 fonts and you can sell your items for 3 times the amount.
Oh, crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And like, that's something the average consumer just doesn't even think about. But you realize when you're in a store why you're more drawn to one product over the other, and it's because it's more aesthetically pleasing to you.
I mean,
designer brands don't sell to rich people. Like, they don't.
Period.
Like think about that. Like let that like marinate. They don't. Because what do most people do? When they get a little bit of money, they go to Gucci and Louis Vuitton and Dior.
When they get that stimmy check, they be lining up at the Gucci store.
That tax return.
Why do they like literally like a lot of the stuff, especially the menswear, like a lot of the stuff that these designer brands make, you don't see any of this stuff in their high level shows because those are like pieces. You don't see any of that stuff.
True.
They make stuff and they look at all this data. They're like, okay, this is the income bracket that's actually buying our stuff, because once they get an amount of money, they buy our luxury to make them feel a certain way.
Yeah, I mean,
kind of mind fucking.
Even like, the fucking Kardashian, Jenner, Hadid, like, dude, they're out here wearing like vintage pieces.
Yeah, you really don't see them flexing with like designer, but I mean sometimes,
but even then I personally feel like it's tacky because one, like that's what everyone else is wearing, so there is no exclusivity at that level.
Yeah,
and also
look, I love Louis Vuitton. Like I love it.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. We won't front.
It's like what is not good is when and again, but this is good marketing. This just goes back to, you want to make the consumer feel something, and they know that if someone gets like, there's no reason why someone should be taking a $1,200 stimmy and going directly to Louis Vuitton when in order to get a stimmy, you have to be in a certain tax bracket. And if you're in that tax bracket, you shouldn't be using your stimmy on designer stuff.
Facts.
No, I went to a mall down here that is all luxury stores, and the Gucci line was right after the stimulus check the second one had dispersed. The Gucci line was around the corner.
That's
like it was insane.
They should have just like people there from the government just being like, what are you
noted?
What funds are you paying for this?
But also, it's funny you say that, because the richest people I know, or wealthiest people I know in my life, they buy fake bags. So like it kind of, that's so funny because I'm like, it adds up, like it makes sense.
I know a very, very wealthy individual that buys fake watches. I mean, and I would never just wear a fake watch because I don't. You
don't need to be.
I'm just a real motherfucker. Like, but he was like, yo, I mean, I have a lot of money, so me having a fake one, like, you would think it's real anyway.
You would think, that's the thing.
And that's when you understand. You're like, yo, perception.
It's a marketing scheme. It's crazy.
Not to mention, like, I also feel like my nicest shit. Like, I have a Gucci bag that my dad gave me for Christmas. I'm like, I don't even like this shit, but I haven't even worn it out because I'm like, I don't want to.
You're like, you're not that person.
One, I'm not that
person. Like, not that person. Like, like, we're all here for designer stuff. We're all for being bougie. Like, if you're that person, live your best life. We love a good flex.
But I'm like, it just doesn't necessarily like
resonate with you,
dude. I carry around a $5 thrifted bag, and I wouldn't want to get it dirty. I wouldn't want to I'm like, I don't even want to wear this out
We're
because
not
it's
made
like,
for this
it's too rich. It's too rich for me. I'm like, it has to sit in the dust bag. Like, that's all I got.
Okay.
I'm here to just take an IG story of the Gucci label and call it a day.
Well, it's all about how you wear it anyway. You guys know that because you're both extraordinarily fashionable. So it's all about how you wear it anyway.
You stop it. I'd love to talk to you a little bit about securing capital or an investor, because I know that Olivia and I had just a really, really eye-opening conversation with you a couple weeks ago. And I just feel like you can definitely speak on that a lot with, the multiple businesses that you are involved with.
Mm-hmm. Capital is a really interesting situation in securing that. I think it's a few things to really think about before you go that route. I would say if you can bootstrap your business without capital, do it. That's number one.
Good advice.
Yeah, no, and I'd love to talk about just if someone even needs it, you know, because after our call, we kind of realized,
we were like,
because at first, so we've kind of told the podcast audience that we've been our brothers, that we wanted to start a clothing line, and originally when we spoke to TDrew about it, we were like, how do we secure an investor? We need to raise 20K, 50K in capital, and then we were like.
And then he gave us a nice little reality check.
And we were like, maybe don't. Maybe don't do that.
Yeah. No, so it's really important to understand what capital comes with. And,
right.
Mm-hmm.
But the first thing is that there's different levels to it. And
levels to the shit.
Exactly. So the first thing is, like I said, for example, the social media startup that's really impressive that I'm on the advisory board for with Corey, the founder invested $4 million of his own capital to start it. And so that's extremely impressive. Right. One, because you believe in what you're doing enough to invest that much capital, number one. Number two, as an investor, because it's all a risk game. The first thing that investors think about when they give money to something is a level of risk involved. And if you're someone that has put capital in your business and you've gotten it to a certain point and your books look decent, things of that nature, blah, 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 it's a much lower risk to give capital than it is to give something in the infancy stage. There's nothing wrong with it, but that's just how it is. And then as the business owner, you're able to retain control. So you're not only able to retain most of your equity, but you're just able to retain control from a decision-making sense. And me, for example, with our businesses, I'm a very open thinker, and I'm not a control freak. So I only freak out when it comes to attention to detail. Attention to detail. I really freak out.
As you should, though.
I really freak out when it comes to attention to detail. Mm-hmm. So that's number one. If you can bootstrap it, bootstrap it. And then if you're able to bootstrap something to a point, you'll always know when you need capital, because everything in your business will be going well, things will be growing, but the only thing that will be hindering your growth is capital. Okay. And then it's much easier to raise capital when, the whole phrase is like, if you have $1, where is it going to go? You don't really know that question when you first start, but as your business grows, that question, you get capitalized, you know where to put that money.
You know exactly what you would use it on.
Yeah, and you already have a proven product. You're like, hey, we've done this. We've maybe sold out of, our first collection, our second collection. We want to take this to another level. And we have something proven here. That's such
good advice, and I think totally on point for where we were at. We were like, we don't even know what we need.
We don't have a name.
Capital for. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. But that's
right.
That's such good advice.
That's the other thing about money. You think money makes stuff easier, but it having
more money, more problems.
Having a whole bunch of money is like, oh my God, I got money, and then you'll spend money and things will go great. And then you'll spend money with someone who, I've had experiences where I've spent money with a vendor and it's been a bad experience and they didn't do good work and that money's gone.
Right.
It's a lot of money.
Right.
A lot of money. So
He's very humble, y'all. Just
look.
So his a lot of money is our lifetime savings.
I'm saying no. I wasn't saying that. What I'm saying is that, and this is just a disclaimer for this whole conversation. Do not let them gas me up. I've made a lot of mistakes. I'm still trying to continue to figure this stuff out. I'm not where I want to be. I'm just sharing my information from the mistakes I've made. Okay, disclaimer over.
Disclaimer done.
So moving into when you talk about capital, so there's certain levels. So the first level is essentially, what you call like a friends and family. So that's really like a friend or, someone that believes in you enough to just give you capital no matter where your business is, no matter what risk they're taking on, like blah, blah, blah. That's usually like a lower level of funding. Like, let's say, anywhere between, I don't know, like 25, sometimes friends and family gets up into the 6-figure range, like 100, 200 grand.
I want to be friends with that family. Sure.
The fuck?
and when people give you that much capital up front without seeing a lot of traction and just believing in you, they're going to take a lot of equity. You have to be fine with that.
Right.
The next step is pre-seed, having like a pre-seed round. Pre-seed funding rounds are usually in between like anywhere between like 2 to 500K. Sometimes pre-seed will get to like $1 million sometimes. The next round is a seed round, which is more money. And the next round is a Series A. A Series A round of funding is really like when your business is like really tracking towards growth, And Series A is like, okay, we've really arrived. Here we go. And all that can be done in the private manner, like having a private investor. So you can have a private investor that does that type of stuff. The other route you can go is obviously the VC route, the venture capital route. Like there's so many things out here about venture capital. Like you literally can just Google, do your own research about venture capital. But basically, venture capital companies are these firms that have money and systems, and they invest in businesses. And the whole thing to venture capital is they have a track record for investing businesses and making businesses successful. So they like to go out and find certain businesses that have certain things that are indicative of it being a company to have in their portfolio that they can really grow. Because at the end of the day, all venture capital companies really care about is the exit.
Right.
So that's another way. And like, if you're a tech company, like, if you're, tech companies, there's some really cool venture capital companies that invest just in women, just in people of color, in certain types of businesses. Venture capital is decently cool because it comes with a lot of resources. But again, when you have investors,
I'm having trouble hearing you.
Sorry, Siri.
She said, "Can you run that back?" What'd you say?
Siri didn't like that. But usually, when you get investment, you not only relinquish control, but you have to start answering to people. Right. And in VC, there's a lot of people that you have to answer to usually. And then it depends on the type of private investor that you have. But private investor situations can be more lenient. That's like the high level overview. As far as how do you find an investor? It's just the easiest way to do it is to create something that you're really passionate about, to really be who you are, because the best investors not only invest in businesses that they like, but they invest in people. And the smart long tail strategy of an investor is to invest in the right people, because problems are going to happen in business. And the best way to mitigate those problems is to invest in a person that you know is going to be able to solve those problems. So, once I get to the point where I'm just an investor, which is like my goal, I'm going to really make sure that I invest in the right people, not just the right things. So how do you find the right investor? Like I just said, it's having something that you're fully passionate about, that you understand, do the work for, over prepare for, and go out and find those people that you may want to be when you grow up, or find that network that, all the best entrepreneurs and mentors, they pay it forward, because any real entrepreneur or person that's a mentor of like high value understands that you don't get there alone and that someone helped them get there. So as long as you are able to outwardly express and that they know that you're the type of person that they believe in, then odds are that they'll help you. But it's on you to tighten up your plan. It's on you to, cross your T's, dot your I's, make sure you bring something that is worthwhile. And even for my stuff, like it was more so just like, you're a cool kid. Like I like what and I like what you guys are working on. Like, what are you guys up to? It never really was,
a pitch, a sit down pitch meeting.
Painstakingly out, yeah. And it's just, that's why character and passion and all that type of stuff is so important. The one sentence synopsis of all that is invest in relationship capital. That's the most important thing.
That is such a better way of saying networking.
Yeah, because networking, when I think about networking, I think of people a lot of times that network for the wrong reasons. Relationship capital means you give value and seek out others that you can learn from, that can learn from you, but that you bring value and not really look for anything in return. But when certain things make themselves apparent, you're in a perfect place to reap the benefit because you came with value first. That's relationship capital. So it's like when you lead with character first, when you bring value to people, when you work hard, when you're not a leech and you give more than you take, the right people always realize that. And if you stay true to who you are, people naturally just want to help you because they're like, oh, like that person is about it. Like I believe in them. Like instead of having an agenda or I want to go to this thing. And it's not wrong to be like, I want to go to this thing to meet this person at this conference, but it's one thing to be hungry and it's another thing to like be a user and be weird. So like
and be weird. Most importantly, here.
Don't be weird, guys. Moral of the story: don't be weird.
Don't be weird. Like hustle and be hungry, but don't make people uncomfortable.
No, totally. Because I think there is a fine line between wanting to network and seeing the value in it because it's extremely valuable. Who you know is everything. But also being an opportunist. What is it?
Opportunist or social climber.
And I think just be a good person, man. And I think that's what it comes down to.
And I feel like we all know between us
that person.
Yeah, here
I know a tremendous amount of people like that.
It's off rip. Like when someone comes up to you, like you can tell if their energy is like malicious or not even malicious, but like kind of like ill-placed is opportunist.
Yeah.
And
I'm like you have a script. Like
yes.
Yeah.
Like my thing is like if your strategy is I'm going to lead with value, I'm going to bring value to people. If I want to connect with somebody, if you want to connect with somebody and you want to be in somebody's network, this is what you do. You figure out who they are, what they like to do, what they're passionate about, research that, figure out a way that you can bring value to them, reach out with value, don't ask for anything in return. And 9 times out of 10, if you do it in the right way, that person or those people are like, wow, like, dope. Like, because then it's like, well, how can I help you? And that's not what it's about, but that's what happens when you lead with value. And then it's an association thing. People associate you with value. And that's how you want to, like social climb, whatever. Like the easiest way for you to get to where you want to go is to figure out how you can bring value to people in situations, and you will never go like unneeded ever.
Love that. Round of applause.
So good. So good. I'm like taking notes. I'm like, this is so good.
Lead with value. How to be a normal social climber.
Yeah, man. And it's not like this, like all this social media stuff, man. Like people think like, like I'm just going to like put a certain image out there and people are going to want to mess with me. Like that's not what you want to do. Like we all have, like, use social media as a tool. You never want someone to meet you in real life and then
not live up to who you are on social media.
And it's not just looks. It's like you never want who you are in real life to be underwhelming to somebody. That's the worst.
Yeah, you're so not wrong.
It's the worst.
Sometimes I actually I prefer to meet someone in person and I prefer getting to know someone in person before they even try to follow me, because it's they're gonna have their own assumptions as soon as they see my page,
predispositions, and half the time they'll already half know you. So it's I just prefer people to be just so much more organic. I mean, and if you obviously, if you know me from socials, or if you know me through someone, I appreciate it so much more when they're just straight up hey, I know you because of this, or I know you because of that, instead of being so what's your name? I'm you know who the fuck I am. I hate that shit.
I know I went off on a tangent, but hopefully I answered.
No, it was so good.
Investing question.
Yeah, no, you did. I feel we could do a whole other episode on strictly just networking, and honestly so many other things too. All right, so we are gonna go into our Biz Pro Tip, and we ask every guest this and another question after. And here we go. Let's go right into it. Could be big, could be small. Give it to us.
Yeah. Well, I feel everyone's overwhelmed. So a pro tip that really helped me, that I feel can help other people, is a framework to kind of attack when you come across something that is holding you back in business. When you're coming across something that's going wrong, something that really stymies what you're doing, whether something really goes wrong, if it's just something that really is stopping you from getting to the goal, right? Mm-hmm. And so this is the framework that I use to solve that. So there's 3 different ways that you can deal with a hiccup. And one of them is to just act like it doesn't exist and just keep doing what you're doing. And that is not the right way to do it, right? The second way to deal with a hiccup is to be what is called a stressor achiever. So it's chugging a whole bunch of coffee. It's I'm gonna do this. Your brain is crazy. You're up all night. You're grinding it out. You get right into whatever you think the solution is. You don't talk to anybody. You just go in. You do it. You try to get it done. You try to fix it. You don't go to sleep. And that was me. For so long, and that's what I did. And that really stresses you out. And stress is inevitable, but there's ways to deal with stress in the right way. The third way to deal with hiccups, and the way that I think is most effective, is when hiccups come along, bad things come along. The first step is you really invite it it's an old friend. You're I knew this was coming. Here we go. I know it. Boom. Because what entrepreneurship is you're not doing cool things. You're not breaking stuff. You're not moving fast. You're not doing dope things. If these things don't happen, they are a part of the ebb and flow. They're a part of entrepreneurship. They're a part of growth. So the first step is to accept it, to welcome it. It's an old friend. Oh, cool. Here we go. Let's get it.
Welcoming it in a way.
Embracing it. Yeah.
Yeah. Embracing it. The second step is getting yourself in the state of mind to go into really, really good problem solving mode. So for me, that is turning on some good music, or sometimes splashing water on my face. I
love the problem solving mode. I don't think I've heard that concept before, and it's so helpful to just make it a thing. All right, here we go. We're buckling in. We're doing this.
Yeah, so if one of my favorite books, if you don't have it, you need to get it. It's called Principles by Ray Dalio. I'm halfway through it, and it's still one of my favorite books. But there's a whole part in there where he's my life changed when I realized how to solve problems differently with frameworks. And so
cool.
So after you do that, after you get in the right state of mind to solve the problem, the next thing you do is you think of 2 or 3 people that you respect in their way of thinking, whether it's your colleagues, a mentor, whatever. You run this problem by them and ask them how they would think about handling it. Then the next step after that is you go, okay, is there anything that I'm not doing that I could be doing that could have made this go better, right? So then after you do that, after you get all of that done, then from there, you have those frameworks, then you dedicate an hour of momentum to solving this problem. And then after that hour, you then revisit it the next day.
Ooh, that is so good.
Yeah, because that allows you to like give yourself a limit so that you're not like overworking yourself and, you know, hitting, you know, a wall with this issue.
Yeah, you're keeping your brain in a healthy state.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So first, right. So it's, if you think about it, it's like, okay, I'm not going to let this kill my mental because I'm going to turn some music on. I'm going to like take a quick walk, whatever it is to get myself in the right mood to figure this out, because I welcome problems, right? Problems are a part of business. I welcome that. And then from there, you consult minds. From there, you double down on like, is there anything I could have done better or differently, like before I got to this point? And then you give yourself an hour of really good momentum to make leeway to that. And then you let it go till the next day.
I love that.
So good. So valuable. I feel like if you are able to write that down, guys, if you're listening and you're not driving, write that down on a pen and paper because that's so good.
Yeah. Literally
like
rewind
what we will
and
be
go listen to that again.
What we will be doing after this episode for any problems in our lives.
Yeah, and I just think that it's so valuable because like I feel like, I mean, naturally we look at problems, as issues, as bad things, and like they're not. They're literally just there, you know, they're stepping stones to success.
An opportunity for growth.
Love that.
So good. Okay.
Our next question that we ask every guest is, what is the best piece of advice that you've ever received?
It's three things. One is you can never do it alone as much as you think you can. You can't. Like there's
period.
Even if you see someone that looks like they got there alone, they didn't. Even someone like Jeff Bezos, like his wife, Mackenzie Scott, I mean, she handled like over half of the business when they got started, and it was on a car ride. Jeff Bezos didn't even want to start Amazon; he didn't believe in it, and Mackenzie made him do it.
Wow!
First time we've ever even heard her name, so that just goes to show, you know, it looks like a one-man show, but it's not.
Oh no, yeah, Mackenzie Bezos, yeah, his wife, yeah, she, you know, like 5th richest woman in the world now or something like that.
Wow,
Jesus, good for her, man.
She handled it like a G too.
Go off, queen.
What a woman. But then the second thing is one of my mentors told me that nothing can beat authenticity. And that's in everything, not just, and people are wondering like, why isn't my social media hitting? Like, why is it? Half of it is because the algorithm sucks, yes. But the other half is that you're trying to do what everybody else is doing. You're not being yourself. Because the reason why authenticity is so important in business and in life is if you're not being authentic, it's hard to keep that up, number one.
Yeah, totally.
Number two, if you're being authentic, it attracts the audience that you can keep. You can't keep an audience that's attracted to something that you aren't. The easiest way to keep an audience and to build an audience is to be authentic because they're attracted to something that's completely you. And the last thing is, I asked my mentor one time what he would tell his 25-year-old self. And he said that the best risk mitigation strategy that could have saved him so many years of failure was if you figure out all of the people around you, all the smartest people around you in business and life, whatever, and just ask them about the mistakes that they made, and then make sure that you try as hard as you can not to make those mistakes, you will increase your risk of success and take down your friction so much. And that always stuck with me. So whenever I meet someone smart, and especially, you know, when I meet people smarter than me, I'm like, yo, what mistakes did you make that put you in this position or that you really learned from? And it's so crazy when you ask these things, because a lot of times you get similar mistakes, and those are like the real mistakes where it's like, yo, all right, don't make these because a lot of people make those.
Yeah.
But then you'll get like outliers, and it's like, wow.
Never even thought of it. You wouldn't. It's like things that you wouldn't have thought of until it happened to you, and then when you ask them, you're like, great, I'll make sure I never have to experience that firsthand.
Yeah. And, I guess the last thing I would say is nothing's more important than your mental health.
Facts. That will be in part 2 of TDrew's appearance and on our show, because we're definitely having him back.
I mean, there's so much that we
much more
talk about, and we want to continue talking about because you are so insightful on it. So brothers, expect TDrew back on the show.
Thank you so much. We hold you so near and dear to our hearts. You're one of our closest friends, best mentors. We know you're someone that we can count on for literally anything. So this means so much. This is like a full circle moment for us.
100%.
You guys are incredible people. You have an incredible future. And I don't know, you guys are just good people. Like, it's just not. Everybody's trying to be something they're not, and I'm tired of it. And the reason why I love you guys so much is because you guys are true who you are, and that means that you will not fail.
Oh, I'm gonna cry.
Not with you in our corner.
Gonna cry in the club. Okay, where can people get more of you if they love you, which I know they all are going to? Where can they find you on social?
It's TDrew everywhere.
It's TDrew.
It's TDrew.
And your websites, 1-on-1, plug your stuff. Come on, don't be shy. oneandonelife.com, oneandonelife.com. Just released a new website, new searchability. We're gonna be doing some cool stuff soon. We just reached 10,000 subscribers on the Mental Health Podcast, so that's cool.
Yes, awesome. He also, One-on-One Life also has their own podcast based around mental health with Danny Loprior.
You guys need to be on, by the way.
Say less. We're on
tomorrow, today, yesterday.
We love Danny, so he doesn't know who we are, but we love him.
We love him.
You guys, that's happening.
For sure.
Brother.
That's the thing. But if you guys are, if you see stuff on One-on-One that you like, whatever, holler at me. I'll give you a promo code.
Hey, for sure. Yeah, guys, make sure to check out his podcast and go show him some love. If you've loved this episode and you have found any part of it valuable, which don't lie, know you have, make sure you take a screenshot, tag TDrew, tag us, make sure we know you're listening and that you're loving it. And yeah, we'll see you next week for another episode.
Bye, brothers.
Have a good week.